Everyone, today it's us, the advisors at MedLink students. We're going to be having a little chat about some of the current events, going over a few different things. I'm here with my colleague and dear friend of mine, Edmund. We've worked together for many years, and together we've helped thousands and thousands of students to study medicine and dentistry abroad. And we're going to have a little chat about how things are going at the moment. Edmund, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Edmund. Thank you for being invited. I've been waiting for this for a while. Um, I think this today is mainly about what's going on, Tom, and I think understanding applications, and it's a good chance for us to chat and get to know you, the listeners, as well, and see what's going on in your world. So I think this is the first. I'm hoping this is the first of many, and you'll get to see all the other advisors as well come and join. But I'm very excited to be here today, though. Lots to talk about. How are you,
Yes.
Tom?
Absolutely. I'm doing well. Of course, it's a very busy time of year for us, working very late into the night, helping as many people as we can. And we understand that it's a very stressful time at the moment as well for many students. The kind of
Yeah,
early summertime is the time for exams.
it's A-level exams. For those of you doing the exams, good luck. I know some of my students are finishing today. Whoop whoop. But for everyone that's still doing it, hey, listen, the best is all you can do, right? You've studied hard, you've done everything. Everything else will look after itself, I say. And good luck to all of you. Anyone that's sitting their A levels or exams or anything like that, I know it can be stressful. Speaking to some of their parents as well, you can tell because the kids are off trying to, study, and then the parents are trying to do all the hard work for them. How's it been for you?
Oh, yeah, of course. I've been speaking to mostly parents for the past few weeks, trying to organize things for their kids, trying to support them and help them because the students themselves, they've just been, yeah, up to their eyes in exams and revising. I'm just hoping that this year they all get the scores they deserve. Obviously, last year it was really difficult, especially with the chemistry. The grade boundaries switched after they'd been changed for so long since COVID, and I think a lot of people were shocked by that. We definitely
Yeah,
saw that on results day last year.
yeah, yeah. Results day. Looking forward to that too. Um, but honestly, good luck to everyone sitting the exams, and we're fingers crossed for you. We hope that some of you have got fantastic predictions, and so we hope that it's fruitful and you get what you're looking for. All right, Tom, what you got for us
100%.
today?
Oh well, exams and A levels. That's exactly what we were going to be starting with. And I also wanted to mention to everyone listening that regardless of the A level results, we work with a wide variety of results that students get. Because one thing that some students are already asking me at the moment that I actually wanted to ask you is, shall I take a gap year and resit my A levels? I'm not sure that last exam went
Ah,
so well. Should I revise for a whole year, and surely I can do better if I apply, if I do it a year later. What do you think about
the
the
uh,
students you're
the
hearing with
gap
this?
year students. I love those students, and I think looking back, a lot of the stories that I've heard, and I give you guys, I have so many. Some of the stories I've heard as being crazy. Some students always say, and I don't know if it's the same with you, Tom, is gap year students will say, hey, listen, I know I didn't do well this year. I'm going to try and retake the exams and do better. Or they say, I'm going to reapply again next year and I'm going to go traveling and I'm going to work. How many of your students that you speak to actually ever do that traveling or go and travel abroad?
The students that go and travel abroad are the ones that don't take the gap year most of the time.
Yes,
The
that
students that actually go and see the universities and experience it and go and study, especially in that first year. Students always think because it's medical school that it's really tough. Don't get me wrong, it is hard, but in that initial year, you have so much time to go and travel and explore and enjoy yourself. And yeah, it's definitely those students that end up having more of a gap year than the actual gap year students,
yeah,
ironically.
yeah. I'm actually dealing with a student at the minute, a couple. They're not coming from the same area or same school, but it's interesting because they have the same similar story to them. They're both on gap years. They ended up with two A stars and an A. Amazing, right? Now, yeah, UCATS is the thing that usually is like the dreaded thing to get, right? Both of them from different paths of life, they got 3,000, right? That's completely
Wow.
unheard of. Yeah. And they still didn't get in last year. Like they clearing results day, they were calling and calling everywhere, still didn't get in. They've got all the experiences on paper, amazing students, right? And what they said was, you know what, I didn't get in, so what my plan was to go traveling in Australia. One of them wanted to go to Australia. I think the other one wanted to go to, I can't remember where, maybe somewhere in Africa. I can't remember where exactly. Um, and we had spoken with them the year before, so just before applications started in Europe. We spoke to the family, and then they completely, kind of closed off this idea of going abroad because they got the results, and they still didn't get in. Um, and speaking to them earlier this year, he said, Edmund, I wish I hadn't done this. I didn't even go traveling. I just worked, and I was so tired every day that I couldn't think of bring myself to going abroad or even thinking of going traveling. Um, my point to all of this is if you are thinking of taking a gap year, that unless it's really financial and you really need to save up, help out with the tuition fees, if you have the opportunity, you're going to go traveling anyway. I know some of the students that are abroad that go on weekend breaks to like Turkey, or they'll go to Greece, get on the train. You, Tom, you're in Bulgaria. So I'm sure if you needed to knit to a different country, you could. So
It's very
whilst
easy.
gap year is a good idea, it's a great idea. You get to build and mature, but you get to mature abroad as well. And dealing with these two students is a perfect testimony that most students really don't need to, but it's because in the UK it's a thing, and you don't have to follow the crowd. You have your own, you have the chance to build your own life and your life ahead of you. Really,
Oh, from my experience, it's that predetermined logic that we have in our mind to stay within our comfort zone. The gap
yeah,
year is the comfort zone. That is that easy pill to swallow, to just sit there. It's okay. Nothing's going to change. Your family are around you. Your friends are around you, but you're not making any progress because especially with the UK, obviously admissions do tend to get harder every year. Grade boundaries, as we've seen, can switch tremendously. So you might spend a year getting your chemistry from a grade C up to a grade A, only to then have the grade boundaries move, and you end up getting a C again for an A's worth of marks.
yeah,
So it's so difficult. And going abroad as well, we've seen places like Bulgaria. 3 or 4 years ago, applying to Bulgaria was easy. In terms of the grades you required, there was hardly anything. You could apply with so many different range of grades, and yet now I even have students with A grades that are struggling to get in, especially to top schools like Sophia Medical University. They just can't get in because they don't have enough spaces for all of the interest they have, and that's not going down. That's increasing every single year. So every time you take a gap year, in effect, you're just standing still. You're not making any progress because whatever progress you make, the difficulty is catching up with you, sometimes even
yeah,
going past you. And that's
yeah.
one of the most heartbreaking things for me is when I try to explain this to a student and they end up going and taking the gap year, they come back the next year saying, Tom, this school that we spoke about, I've been researching it for a whole year. I'm comfortable now. I'm ready to go. And I have to tell them, I'm sorry, but you don't meet the requirements anymore.
It's too
Yeah,
late.
yeah. A year ago, you could have done a simple interview. You could have got in. Look at how Georgia is now. There's still no entrance exam for Georgia, and yet thousands of people are applying there now.
Yeah,
So if people take a gap year now to think about it or to improve on their grades, then they have to come back a year later and sit a test. They fail the test. Then what do? That turns into 2 gap years. And you know what happens once it's 2 gap years? It's more likely to be a gap life.
that's halfway through a course abroad.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, and over the years we've seen such a big shift in the way the applications are. Bulgaria, for example, has been the biggest one, and we started seeing a big one. And I think for the people that are listening, this is a good chance for us to kind of give you some insight into really what's changed in Bulgaria. Most people when they apply think of going to Bulgaria. The first thing, Sofia. Sofia has always been the most popular school.
Everyone knows someone who has applied to
Yes,
Bulgaria. That's the line.
They have a family member, neighbor, friend, brother who studied there, finished, or still there, and it's changed so much. What we know now is what's changed as well is I don't know if you remember, Tom, when the pandemic hit and Sophia still was the only school that would say you have to come and do the entrance test on campus, whereas all the other schools have changed their ways. But now they've kind of completely reformed their application process. Um, it's almost like they prefer more EU type of students than non-EU. They've kind of reversed this. And I remember back then when it was, 300 to 400 international students. Now it's a very smaller number now for EU is for non-EU, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, it's tiny. Yeah, it's a tiny minority now, and this is an issue that we see with a lot of schools. Is over time so you start off with this amazing international program that's available for everyone, and they want to encourage people to come, and so they can expand and build a bigger program, and then they do really well, and then they think to themselves, okay, well now we've got 400 spaces a year, we're getting 2,000 applicants a year, so let's start being a bit more selective. So then they
Yeah,
start coming out with all these different quotas and systems, and before you know it, it's like applying in the UK all over again. It
yeah,
depends on where you're from, what grades you got in subjects. You have to get the top scores. You have to be in that top 1%, and it just gets really silly. And obviously, people they use this avenue of going abroad as a guarantee, or at least as somewhere with a really high chance that's going to
yeah.
give them a second chance, a really solid backup option to the UK. And then they apply to Sophia. Little do they know that statistically now, as a UK student, because they're non-EU students now, of course, they actually have less of a chance to get into Sophia than they do into most UK medical schools, which is absolutely amazing that it can change so dramatically over just
Yeah,
a few years.
yeah, yeah. Such a big shift for the Bulgarian schools, and every year as well they're changing. Plovdiv has changed significantly what it used to be in terms of applying. Varna has also changed. Even we're seeing places like Plevna and even Trachea changing their applications because it's becoming uh, so competitive to now get in. One thing I'm noticing as well is the deadlines. The other day, I remember when we had the meeting, you said, "Wait, it's April. Why is the deadlines coming up so soon?" Um, which never used to be the case. Someone
Not
would
with
come to us
Bulgaria.
results day, and we would still be able to put an application together and still get into Plovdiv or Varna or even Sofia.
Yeah,
Not the
yeah.
case anymore. What are
It's
your thoughts on
unbelievable.
this?
It's just crazy how much things have changed, and I think a lot of the reason is the level of competition rising, but also, as I said, the more popular they get, the more selective they can be. So
Yeah,
beforehand, where they used to just allow people, as long as you got your documents translated and you got some certification done, it was fine. Whereas now, it can take up to 2 months now to build an application to Bulgaria because they know that they can put up all this red tape and all these regulations just to find the most serious and committed students.
yeah,
And they'll still get enough to fill the spaces, plus then a lot more on top.
yeah,
So they keep changing things. And we've seen it in many countries. Czechia, for example, you see that the changes that they make, which it brings on to another change, which is cost. When these
yes,
programs start, when they're still growing, they keep the
yeah,
cost at a very fair amount. In Bulgaria, you'd see it like 5, 6, £7,000 a year, whereas now they're almost creeping up to £10,000 a year for the same course. These
yeah,
things haven't changed. It's just the popularity goes up, and they take advantage of that popularity. And I mean, they've earned it. They deserve it. They deserve
absolutely,
to
absolutely.
put the price up. They deserve to make the system harder. But for those students that are looking for an easy route to go and study abroad, it's of course it's not so ideal anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing about applying last minute is a thing of the past now. So whenever I'm talking to a student, say you need to get applying now, they feel, oh wait, what is Edmund talking about? I can come back after results day, and it's going to be fine. But it's not the case. And for those of you who's already spoken to us today, for even some of the listeners, if results day is when you're looking, we can still have a conversation. It may just not be the university you're thinking about. It might not be Plovdiv, it might not be Varna, but it might be a school that we're looking at. I remember the first country that we started seeing these changes were Romania. And I used to, I mean, we've been with Romanian schools for what, 12, maybe even longer now. And the change was so drastic. I was like, wait, what's going on? The university started changing. Tuition fees in T2, for example, has gone up significantly. And so with students thinking about gap years, these are the things that changes. The tuition fee changes, the requirements changes, the deadline changes as well. And this is just to kind of give you an insight into what's going on. The universities are seeing a higher influx of students, applicants. This year for us as well, I don't know if it's the same for you, Tom. I'm not just dealing with UK and Irish students. I'm also talking to students from uh, the US a lot more now. I'm talking to students from Australia because it's becoming more competitive in their countries, and they're also kind of figuring out where can I go? What's the deadline? Can I apply? After our results day,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what I'm seeing
absolutely.
a lot of.
Yeah, it is. It is the case. It's a lot of students. That's what they want to do because places like the UK, especially, they're amazing at giving people false hope. They first of all, you don't get good predicted grades, and they say, "Oh, that's okay. Try the UCAT. Maybe you'll do good on the UCAT, and then you can still have a chance." So you wait until October to do the UCAT or November, whenever you get your result. Let's say you didn't do very well on the UCAT. Oh, don't worry, you might get some interviews. Let's wait until February or March. So then you wait until February or March, and then they say, "Oh, don't worry, you might get through on the waiting list, or you might get through on UCAS Extra, or we can't quite make our decision yet on your application. Let's wait until your results. Maybe you get through clearing, the infamous clearing, which we know is it what zero spaces are offered for medical schools in clearing
Yeah,
most years, and yet the students hold on to these tiny threads of hope, and unfortunately, every other opportunity just gets knocked out along the way. You've got the Czech universities. Their deadlines are sometimes, yeah, in March, April time. You've got some universities with deadlines even sooner than that. Like
yeah,
Humanitas in Italy, for example. Some places that they're just losing opportunities because they've been given these tiny threads of hope in the UK. Yeah, it's very unfortunate for them, and it is the same for a lot of countries around the world. They want to keep the students in the systems, and then even then they'll say, go and do an access course for a year. Then maybe you'll get into medical school. Go and do biomedical science for 3 years. Then you'll get into medical school. And how many of them actually end up getting in? The chances every single year since when you start are lower. It's harder and harder to get in. All of these bits of hope you cling on to are just dwindling your chances when you
yeah,
could be going to study abroad. And I think another one of the issues is that the places like Bulgaria a few years ago, we had to push hard to convince people to go to Bulgaria. We really had to say, look, trust us, we're over here. It's an amazing place. The teaching is great. The recognition is great. And they're like, no, that's not recognized in the UK. The GMC is not going to recognize that. And then now we're in a position where people are calling us and just saying, please, can I sign up with you? Please, can I get started for Bulgaria? And we have to tell them, look, your grades aren't good enough, but look, let's try somewhere else. Let's try Georgia. And as we know, we can see Georgia's copying Bulgaria and Romania. It's the same trend of popularity. So in a few years' time, we're probably going to see the same out of Georgia. People are going to be asking us to apply, and we're going to say, we're sorry, but you can't go for Georgia anymore. The grades are too high. And then we're going to have to look further and further and further. And that's just kind of the conundrum that there is with this is as soon as a university gets popular and as soon as you feel comfortable to go there and study abroad, chances are it's going to be really competitive because
yeah,
it's become too well known at that point, and they don't have thousands and thousands of spaces available. Each school has maybe up to 400 spaces for an international medical school, and that's for a big one.
yeah,
Some of them only have 100 for the more focused, smaller class universities for medical
yeah,
school. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to go through, especially when you're going through all the stress of growing up and doing the A levels, sitting all the exams. It's really tough. What do you think?
it's not easy. It's funny you say that. Actually, I've been speaking to or dealing with her students currently, and she's struggling a lot with her A levels, preparing, stressing out, having to speak with the parents. And I think you touched on something when you mentioned about a student, saying, "Hey, Uh, we might not have the right grades to apply to the school because they're changing the grade requirements and the boundaries. This is for anyone that's thinking, maybe I'm not good enough to go abroad. You are. You're not a failure when you think about, oh, okay, I'm going abroad because I have failed in my home country. You know, they set in the UK, they will set different stages at you in life to make you want to stay here. And hey, it makes sense to want to stay in the UK. Why not? It's my home country. Why wouldn't I want to stay here? You know, I've seen those students that have gone from A levels, biomedical science, masters, physician associates, and then they get to that point where it's like, okay, so what else do I need to do? Do I need to do a PhD? Yes, you'll be called a doctor, but technically, it's not you're not a real doctor treating patients. This might be an unpopular opinion. However, at the same time, do you want to then start looking at going abroad? Because you will have done almost 6 years of different courses, 3 years here, a year, 2 years here and there, and then you might even work as a physician associate. My take on all of this is it's scary when you're thinking, I have to leave my family, I have to leave my friends, I have to leave everything that I have built in my 16, 17 years of life. And I have to then go somewhere else and do something that I love. And it's scary thinking about it. Even as you age, going abroad becomes a bit of a scary thing because I remember when I was going to Bulgaria with Tom for the first time. I'm just going to go for the weekend, right? For those of you guys who don't know, Tom lives in Bulgaria, right? He loved it. I love it there. But it's a scary thought when you're thinking of going and doing something that's out of your comfort zone. And my take on it is, if medicine or being a dentist is something you've always wanted to do, if it's a dream, because when I speak to the students, and I'm sure Tom, when you have these video calls, you can almost feel or see the light in their eyes when they talk about how much they're passionate about becoming doctors and dentists, right? They don't want to do anything else. If that is what you want to do, then just do it. Just pick up a bag and say, "Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go abroad and I'm going to apply." Taking the gap year, you're only just prolonging the time that it takes for you because it's time, isn't it? It's 6 years of your life, and it's a long time. And you will mature into the program. And this is something I've seen a lot. Some of the students that come very quiet, aren't they? And then they get to year three, and you're like, "Wait, you're not the same. You're not the same person I spoke to 3 years ago. You're different. You've matured. You see the world differently now because you've become a different individual. And hey, the friends that you're going to make there will be friends for life. And these are things that you cherish. And
I've
I
actually
think
started having, sorry,
no,
I've
let's
actually
go.
started
Let's
having
go.
a lot more students now that I ask them, why are you looking to study abroad? And of course, most of the time it's, I didn't get in my home country, I didn't get in the UK or the US, Australia, wherever. But I'm getting more and more now that are coming to me and saying, well, I know people that have done it. And like you just said, they changed so much as a person and they grew so much and they learned so much from experiencing not only becoming a doctor, but in this time of your education, you're able to experience a whole new culture, different language, different people from different parts of the world. Anywhere in Europe, I think you experience this more than the UK, where even though the UK is such a diverse place, ironically, somehow it's still a very isolated place. Everyone's very stuck in the same kind of way.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
when you go to Europe, you're on this big continent where everyone mixes around and all these different cultures and foods and languages you can hear drifting all around you, and it's a fascinating experience to have, and more people are going just for that because they know people that have done it before. Maybe it's a cousin or a brother or a neighbor, or parents even that have studied it in Europe in the past, and they say the same to the students that are looking to go, and they think, well, why do I want to go through all the hassle of trying to get into the UK, trying to be an A-star student, all for that, when I could go and study abroad, get it all done, especially American students, because I mean they have to pay a fortune
yeah.
to study medicine over there. Even though they borrow the money, it's so much debt that they end up with. It's crazy. Whereas they can come and study in Europe, they can still
For
get
a
a
fraction.
recognized degree. Yeah, for what, $7,000 a year, $5,000 a year, and it's still a recognized MD degree.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really crazy, but we're seeing a
American
big
students will
switch.
ask you, they'll say, "Hey, is that for the semester?" Because the tuition fees seem so low to them.
You say,
Um,
hey, is that per week?
it's crazy. It's crazy that the tuition fees they pay in the US and even in Canada. In Australia, I'm seeing a huge rise in the tuition fees.
Yeah,
And you've got a whole world in Europe, and I think it's the familiarity. Because when you think about going abroad to do something, most people think of the usual places. Brits, Spain is the first thing you think of, right?
of
Um,
course.
and where else? Greece. Where else do most people?
Cyprus,
Cyprus.
Italy.
Exactly. And then it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know the East, or I don't know Central Europe, so I would rather just stay at home, which then makes sense. But if it's a dream, I believe it has to be something you have to take seriously, because hey, medicine, it's not something you just choose to do. I believe it's a calling, because when I listen to these students, I hear it. Some of them just want to become doctors because their parents are doctors, or they have a family member or a brother or sister who's got a disability, so they want to help other people through it. So it's a calling that it doesn't go away. And I'm sure you know those students you talk to 3 4 years
Oh,
later.
100%. Most of the students I talk to are the same there. We're so lucky to be in a role where we speak to such passionate people, because most people in this world, they don't have their minds so made up. But when it comes to these students that we speak with on a daily
It's
basis,
incredible.
99% of them, they are just so dedicated and so passionate to it, and they'll do absolutely anything
Yeah.
to get to that point. So it's yeah, it's a fantastic thing to witness.
And I say also, if you're not sure, come visit. We have representatives there. Come see the school, come and look at what is there, and we can help you. If you need to see the school, and it's always a good chance to have a look around, or even you can come with a family member, a parent, and come see it. Because I think once you get to see the place you're going to be, um, you kind of start to picture yourself there, and I think that must have been the same for you when you first went to Bulgaria. You saw the place, and a weekend now becomes a permanent thing for you. It must have not been easy, I'd imagine, for you. Um, but the reason why I make that reference is because just like you found it difficult to go abroad, other students that we talk to, it's a difficult thing for them. Maybe their parents might not even want them to go, and it's something they still want to do. Um,
It's a
but
huge step, and sometimes even now I wake up and I think, "Oh, where the hell am I? Where's this place? These people are speaking a different language." But no, I mean it's an incredible experience, and I love coming back to the UK to visit and obviously see friends and family. But being over here, the weather obviously is fantastic. Everything's very affordable. The people are so peaceful and relaxed. Things like crime and safety is so much better over here than in major cities in the UK, and it's the same in places like Georgia as well. It's a really really wonderful place, and even if you're not 100% decided on studying abroad, I'd always recommend people to come and check these countries out.
yeah,
Not
for
so
sure.
much just the holiday resorts. Don't just go to sunny beach and and think that that's Bulgaria.
Yeah,
That's where they hound a lot of people from the UK to just to go into sunny beach and stay there for a week. But no, go and see the cities. Plovdiv, for example, is one of the most ancient cities in Europe, and it's a fantastic cultural base. There's so much
mm,
going on there, so much to see and do, all with fantastic weather during the summer. This right by Greece, so very similar climate,
yeah.
and yeah, I won't keep going on about it because I'll never stop if we start talking
Yeah,
about
you love
Bulgaria.
it there.
But
You love it there.
yeah,
I think another thing that's really concerns a lot of students, especially from the UK anyway, that when they go abroad, they think this degree is not going to be worth it. I won't be able to use it. And it's like the dreaded GMC recognition or registration, or being able to even work as a doctor. Because I think it's that mindset of, if I study in the UK, then that's the only thing, right? But when you go abroad and you come back, you won't be able to work. Um, but I think actually our country thrives of international doctors. How many times you go in the hospital and you see lots of foreign doctors, lots of foreign nurses, and they didn't even study in the UK. Um, a big change. There are some changes coming. I think it's good for people to know about it as well, isn't it, Tom? With the whole exam that is coming in. Do you want to share kind of what's been happening or is about
Yeah,
to
of
happen?
course. The gradually the stigma around studying medicine outside the UK is being removed, and rightfully so, because we live in a much smaller world now than we did 30, 40, 50 years ago, and education is very similar all around the world now, and we must rely on each other, coming from different countries and different backgrounds, to band and work together. And in densely populated countries like the UK, where we're facing increasing health issues as a country, as a nation, we need more and more doctors. And the GMC, they have realised this, and that's why for the a few of the past previous years, we've actually had more international doctors that have registered in the UK than actual UK university doctors and graduates. So the numbers actually increased. And this is a huge, huge kind of mark to show exactly what we're doing as a country in terms of our registration. So when students are saying to me that they're worried about being able to get registered back in the UK afterwards, I mean it's almost comical now because it's such an achievable thing now and such a doable thing. I mean, is it an easy road? No, but there isn't a single pathway in medicine that is easy. We here at Medlink Students, we can help you with that first step, getting into medical school. And I know for a lot of you now,
Mm.
that seems like that's the be all and end all. Once you're into medical school, that's it, but it's not. Getting into medical school is this big. And then you've
Yeah.
got to pass year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, year six. Then you've got to start applying for foundation years. And it's like any other career, even though, don't get me wrong, there's so much need for doctors at the moment in most of the Western world. So it's not difficult to get a job, but it's still challenging and competitive to work your way up to specialize, all these different aspects, and you've got to be prepared for that. And that's why, as I said, I love working with these passionate students because they're like, whatever it is, throw it at me.
Yeah.
I'm here to work hard for the rest of my life to save people, to be a doctor, to use groundbreaking technology and medicine to save people's lives and help people live better lives. And that takes hard work. It's not given to you on a plate. You got to really work for that. And I think that's why it's such a prestigious career, and
Yeah.
that's why doctors are people that we all look up to and we all trust, because we know that they didn't just sit there. They weren't just given it. It's not just the fact
And
that if their parents are doctors, they can be like, okay, now we're making you a doctor. It
passing
doesn't
it
work
over
like
to
that, does it?
you.
But think how many other careers and businesses are done like that.
Yeah.
You got wealthy mum and dad. Maybe they have a business or a company. It's passed down to you, and you're in charge of it.
Yeah.
But with the doctor, every single doctor has to start from zero. You can't have a doctor that has a head start. Maybe having your parents as doctors helps you to understand it a bit more, what it's like, what it does to a person, day in, day out, what it's like to work on the wards. But you've still got to start from zero, just
Yeah.
wherever everyone else is. And it's always going to be tough. But as long as you prepare well in advance, you're always going to get to where you need to go. So GMC registration, they have really basic criteria set out. They even lay it out on their website for everyone to see. So as long as you're meeting that criteria, then you're good to go. And ourselves, we obviously speak to students to clarify bits of this criteria every single day. And we're always looking at it ourselves on a daily, if not weekly basis, because we're always looking for any little updates or changes that we need to get clarified, that we need to check. But all in all, one of the reasons why we work with predominantly schools in Europe and a couple in the Caribbean is because they are so good at meeting all of the GMC criteria. In fact, a lot of these qualifications go way beyond the criteria for the GMC. For example, in Europe, a lot of these degrees are 6 years in length, and they cover way more hours than the amount of learning hours that are required by the GMC. And this is why you can be very comfortable knowing that it meets all the recognition.
Mm. Yeah. Very, very true. Very true. And I think it's a concern because I think people don't see or know that we have already done the research for them. And it's almost like, well, how do I know whether I'll be able to register? And the hard work's already done for you, which is why sometimes something I love about what we do is that these calls are completely free. Come and take the advice and then sit down and digest it. We've done all the research. We spent thousands of hours just trying to figure out, okay, so which university matches this requirement? Which university would you be able to go and come back? As you were talking about the hours, some universities give 10,800 hours. You think, wait, that's double what you would get in the UK. So they're putting you through your paces, which is why some of these students really become confident in themselves because they learn a lot. Um, and I think also the UK having a lot of foreign doctors also helps with having a dynamic because there's the UK and something I actually learned from my friends who are doctors who studied in the UK is that the medical schools in the UK they train you to become a UK doctor, whereas the international schools, Bulgaria, Georgia, Poland, they're training you to become an international doctor, meaning that if you come back to the UK, you're ready to you're ready to settle in. If you go to Australia, you're good to go because you know what it's like to treat different types of patients. You get to learn about different types of illnesses that might not even be common in the UK. So you're broadening your horizon, and that's what they're teaching you. And it was a fascinating thing listening to that because you're thinking, okay. So they really, really want you to become a doctor just by being here. Um, Although I also know students, graduates from the UK who've gone abroad and yeah, they've settled in fine. But generally, it seems that's the case. And what the GMC is trying to do is make everything more unified, and it doesn't matter wherever you go, you can come back and register. And this is something we also do. Most people don't know that we actually help students register with the GMC and taking away the guesswork. So really, you're with us for 6 years, which is which is an incredible journey. You know, you get to see my face for 6 years. You get to see Tom. You get to see all the other team members here. You get to hang out with us. Nothing better than that. And I think, as a concern, we understand it, but just know that the hard work's done for you. We've done the research. We've checked. We even have representatives that will go to the university and spend, 2 to 3 weeks there and figure out whether the school is even right for us to even work with them. To make sure that it meets, GMC requirements, or to make sure that it meets even like Australia. But for those students that are coming back to the UK, just know that the work is done. The hard work is done for you. And I think something that is important to understand as well is the changes that is coming, which is the exam, the MLA exam. It's still UK graduates and non-EU. EU students is still not yet confirmed, is it, Tom? From what we understand. So for
Yeah.
those graduates that are coming back from Bulgaria this year, or Poland, or from Romania, they don't have to sit the test yet. So that might come in place. Who knows? But stay tuned, as this is our first one. We will be updating you guys as and when things change and things happen, and any updates and insights that we can bring in. Um, and we also have our webinar coming up next week, don't we, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Very exciting. The June webinar. So just after everyone finishes their A levels, we're going to do a huge information dump for all of you. Loads of info all about how to study abroad, some of the top universities, which schools are still available for this September. For those of you that want to fill in last minute applications, we've got your back. We're there to help you and support you. So don't worry about it. You can sign on through our website on the events page or the webinars page. You'll be able to click the link, put in your email, and then we'll send you an invite to join as a spectator on the Zoom event next Wednesday, I believe.
Yes, and it's hosted by yours truly, Tom. Exciting, really excited to have them. I always get excited with them. I can't wait for us to start doing them physically. If we ever get the chance, it'll be good because we get to see the students, right?
Of course, well, we've got plenty of space in our office over in Bulgaria, or I guess in our UK office too. so
Yeah.
we can maybe pick between.
That would be cool. But yes, next Wednesday, come hang out with us virtually. We're going to talk a lot. We'll have some students from Bulgaria join us. We'll have some students from Georgia. I know we'll have some students from different schools that will come and join. So it'll be a great opportunity for the students, anyone that wants to really understand a bit more about what it's like to study abroad and whether they should go, because you'll get to hear from the students themselves. They will tell you the good, the bad, the challenges that they face. It's not all surf every weekend. Sometimes you will get your challenges, which is good because you get to see what it's actually like to study, and we'll have representatives from the universities come and join. So exciting thing, and I hope that you guys can join us. We'll also have some of our advisors in our admissions team whom I really love the work they do. At the moment, it's like exam period for them because their heads in applications, very serious. They don't want to be bothered by us, but it's great to see all the work that they're putting in, and I love this time of the year because they're kind of running around. Everyone's like hands on. Uh, in camp meddling students, and it's great to see all the work that we put in to making it all come together. Looking at this
It's
application, looking at this file. I love this time of the year, honestly.
it's hectic and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
The amount of people that we're helping, it's crazy, and we're really privileged to be able to help everyone in the way that we can. All these passionate, as I said, passionate, amazing people that we get to speak to on a daily basis. But yeah, I think that just about wraps things up for us now. Obviously, we're very busy ourselves. We
yeah,
have so many students, so many appointments to get to, so we're not going to be able to sit here and natter for hours and hours as we'd want to. But look, I really enjoyed this as a session speaking between the two of us. I hope this has been a great insight for you guys that are listening and watching at home as well. And we look forward to seeing you on the webinar and then on the next one.
yeah.
Thank
For,
you.
for for those of you who have made it this far, listening to me and Tom talk about life in applications and studying abroad, consider subscribing because we want you guys to join us in this community. We will be doing more of this hopefully, and if you have any suggestions, just put them in the comments. If you want us to talk about specific topics or areas that you want us to talk about,
Absolutely.
we'll be happy to, because you guys will help us actually grow this and help us become a good community. So thank you all for listening. And thank you, Tom, for inviting me. I'm very excited for this first one. Hopefully, many more. And we wait to see you guys next Wednesday. Come hang out with us.
Thank you. Cheers, Edmund. See you guys on the next one.